Yeah,
Alright.
so I would say, honestly, I remember this movie coming out, and I was in high school, senior year, and my economics teacher, I would watch Netflix my entire senior year, because I got it on my iPad before they like canceled everybody from downloading apps. So that was the first thing I did because it was senior year. I said, "Fuck it."
Yeah.
So I'd watch movies and stuff all the time. And my economics teacher, after he'd get done teaching and he'd give us time to work on our stuff, he'd come stand behind me and watch whatever I was watching on Netflix. And at one point, he was, obviously asked me about my taste. And I remember Hateful Eight coming up, and everyone was saying, "Oh, I forget what the reason was, but people were saying that they were going to boycott this movie specifically in Tarantino's filmography when it came out, and I'm not sure
Was it just
why.
from
I'm
Django?
sure there was, I don't know, I'm sure there was some political reason why they were going to do it. And I just remember this being like one of his lower
Man.
end movies. And when I first watched it, I thought it was lower end. But then after rewatch and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch, honestly, it's a great movie. I mean, the writing is there, the directing is there, it's funny, it's
Yeah.
smart. I mean, what more could you ask for? And it's contained in a cabin, but it's so engaging the entire time. So I don't know. I mean, I love this movie every rewatch, and I love it more every rewatch. So, and every time I rewatch it, I've given it like another half star. And I think it's time to give it 5 stars.
Wow.
What do you guys think?
Wow.
Hmm.
I'm kind of with you there. Like, I've only watched this. I think I've only watched it twice, so this is my third time watching it. And I watched the
Okay.
extended version this time, and yeah, I don't know. Earlier this year, I watched like Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express and stuff like that, and those just like didn't really do it for me. I think this is like one of the best like whodunits mystery thrillers I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Because yeah, like you said, it's all contained in one space. You're always like kind of raising your there's like little hints dropped throughout,
Yeah.
of like that's everyone's a little suspicious, but like you can pick up on like who's really kind of like who you should keep your eye on. So yeah, when I watched it this time, I was just like, I don't know, I was just so invested. And like the four like episode structure is just like just hits, dude. Because by the time that fourth one was going, I was like, what? Am I like still here for this? And then, fuck, man, like it's the fireworks go off with Mannix and Warren, dude. At the end, it's so fucking good. Like,
You
Yeah.
gonna
yeah,
make a deal with that diabolical bitch.
Yeah. It's like so
yes,
intense there at the end
Mhm.
too. How he like fucking passes out and then it's like a
yeah,
fucking race to the gun.
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Like
So
some of
good.
that stuff was like drawn out for me.
Yeah,
Just like some of the slow-mo or some of
Yeah.
like the fucking scenes where it's just like intense music in the background, but it's like a really long period of time. Which like I get it's to build suspense, but
yeah.
I don't know. I
Mhm.
think for me, I had seen this movie one other time. This is my second time seeing it. I think I liked it less this time I watched it.
Interesting.
Just because like I knew who all the killers were, but also it's like there's another person in an option that you didn't know was an option, and it kind of feels like a cop out because it's like you never were gonna know the right answer because it wasn't possible
You
to
weren't given
know.
full information. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
so like I don't know. In a way, I feel like it's kind of a cop out because there's one dude hiding under the floor, and you didn't even know that that was an option, or there was a fucking basement, you know?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
he,
that's
I don't
fair.
know.
But it's rendered useless because they just blow his brains out immediately. So,
I guess it's a good point, but like
yeah.
I don't
I,
know.
I
That is
mean,
like the twist for most of the movie, but
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I get what you
Uh,
mean though, because to be quite honest, this rewatch, I've seen this movie maybe like 5 times, and yeah, this one it's not getting better on rewatch for me. I'd say, unfortunately, it's
Really?
just like, I watched this one in theaters, and it was pretty. I enjoyed it in theaters. Not my favorite Tarantino, but it was, I enjoyed it. Um, I think that's like the peak of enjoyment maybe in this movie. Maybe I'll come back around to it, but like, yeah, I think for what you guys said, it's like the reveals of the killers is so like widespread within the very limited scope of the characters that we have, that like having everyone be the killer is like not a reveal to me. Like it makes like rewatch viewings
I will say I
less
was like,
enjoyable.
at least on this watch through, I was actually
Fair.
engaged the entire time because I was trying to like pick out those like pieces though, like little things that
Yeah.
I didn't pick up before.
Yeah.
So like maybe
Yeah.
I was just like too nitpicky too, but I don't know.
Fair enough. I mean,
so like it's possible that it could get better.
Yeah.
I think because I mean,
don't get me
I
wrong.
don't
This is a very good movie. Like it's super engaging and it's very
yeah, like
entertaining.
honestly, dude, Sam Jackson in this movie is so fucking good.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
Me
for sure.
laughing, him crying.
yeah,
This
Like,
black
yeah.
dingus.
My big black Johnson.
Yeah. No, I
Him
mean
shaking.
it's enjoyable, it's fun, it's wild, it's Tarantino, so it's gonna be at a threshold of enjoyment, you know, just at a minimum. It's gonna reach that threshold, but it's still at a
I
three
did
and a
think it
half
was
in
kind
my
of weird
mind.
that I think it was chapter 3 or 4. There just like started being a narrator,
Yeah, it's
but there
Tarantino.
had not been a narrator
yeah.
before.
Yeah, it's
I
just
just
like
thought it was like fucking I don't kind of out of nowhere. Like,
Let's come out of
I
but
mean
like it
this
was
one
fine.
out of
I
more
feel
than
like
others.
that and like other events in the movie, like the intensity wise, like trying to make people you either like feel a certain emotion, or like think a certain way based on like what's going on with the plot, like who you should suspect. I feel like was spoon fed to you too much in this almost, where like you could have just been able to pick it up. But like I don't know. I don't think that necessarily makes it a bad thing. I think it would just like over explained sometimes. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, I
I
get what
didn't
you
know if that
mean.
was like to maybe get more people to watch it or something, or just like I don't know.
To
But
me it's
Yeah,
like
maybe.
the playfulness is fun and I love it and that's, you know, it's good.
Yeah.
But it's like a little too foreshadowy in this movie. I guess that's what you're kind of getting at. Like, what's like? It's like I haven't called you a liar, Bob. Not yet. You know, it's like these seeds are just being like thrown at your face instead of like being planted. You know, it's just like fuck. Okay, you know, like I don't know. It's like I ain't ever going out in that shit ever again. DB or whatever. You know, like it's like yeah, that guy's gonna die. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
So
man.
it's just like hard
Dude,
to get
Poor
fully
guy.
invested in it.
I
when
was
it's so
actually
blatant.
thinking I had written down when it's like revealed like who the killers are and then it goes back in time to like show like when they first showed up at the cabin. At first I was like, why the fuck didn't they just poison the coffee initially? But like they might I thought later like they totally might have poisoned the coffee because like the first thing Kurt Russell does when he shows up is
Dumps it
drink
out.
one. Yeah, he spits it out and then throws out all the fucking coffee and makes new coffee. So like that totally wouldn't have even worked anyway, which is kind of interesting because like
Maybe.
that's like
Yeah.
tying up some loose strings.
Maybe,
you
It'd
know?
be
I
funny
don't
if
know.
they did, and then it just ended up remaking it.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
like, all right, well, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting though, because I remember like specifically that scene you were talking about, Matt, like when he's with Bob in the stable. That was I remember my first time watching it, and that's when I was like picked up on the idea that this was like we were supposed to be suspicious of like all these characters. Like I
Mhm.
didn't really feel that when Kurt Russell and Sam Ellis' character first meet. It's more of just like, you know, skeptical wanderer or whatever. Like you should be a little wary.
I
But
think they
then
like because they knew each other
yeah,
too. I felt like more
yeah,
safe, you know, or
true.
that they had met each other before, you know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I didn't get that full exactly. I didn't get that full like this is kind of like the murder mystery thriller until they get to Minnie's haberdashery. And then when they get back in, he's like, "Who the fuck broke this door?" And Bob's just like, "Just give me another wood plank." Like it's like, all right, this motherfucker broke the door. Like he's sus like straight off the
Mhm.
bat. Like
Yeah.
It's
Leads
interesting
you.
too that Sam Jackson's character knows off the bat, like Minnie and
Mhm.
them, something's
yeah,
wrong because she stopped letting Mexicans in, you know. So and then they would put Bob the
yeah,
Mexican in charge. So right off the bat, you know, Samuel Jackson is like on the case,
Mhm.
which I don't know.
yeah.
That's fun.
For
I
That's
sure.
good.
love how it shifts to from like Kurt kind of being you're kind of like with him because he's chained to the main outlaw
Yeah.
chick, Damage, and then it's like once shit starts going down, it's like all right, Warren's gonna really fucking like suss this shit out, and then it's just great to see Mannix like along for the ride.
I mean,
And, like,
Mannix is as
I
much
say
as
we
like
go
there's a
with my
comic.
theory, and it's the ugliest one that
This
did it.
guy.
I'm looking
yeah.
at you, Joe Gage.
I mean, his delivery is just spot on, man. But
So
just
good.
that character too is
Fucking
Yeah,
he's a wild card in the
fantastic.
story, but then he becomes like a more like contained, like honorable character. It's kind of weird, you know, like
Right. Cool to see.
Anybody could drink that coffee like me. God damn it!
yeah, he's like
Great.
plotting his like who he's gonna go with at the end, and ultimately he decides that he's gonna kill Daisy because she was gonna like let him die. It's all just like
Yeah.
selfish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he doesn't really
And that's
know until the
honestly
end.
with his character, that's kind of what makes him like they're all hateful and deceitful. But honestly, I think he was the most honest person there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's like
I,
the most, other than Kurt, he's like the most forthcoming,
right.
I think, with like who he is and like what he's,
Mhm.
why he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like he's got his like obviously like Southern racist views, which
Yeah.
are like the main conflict between him and Warren. And then by the
Mhm.
end of it, I mean, to me, I don't really know exactly what this movie's saying, but like it's like a weird cathartic like coming to terms with like white and black
Right.
conflict after the Civil War through
Yeah.
the nature of like
Yeah.
civil frontier justice, you know, like
Yeah.
so it's like
Yeah, that hit me a little
cathartic
harder this watch through too. Yeah.
in a way at the
Yeah.
end for them in these wild ass like perspectives that like somewhere meet in the middle. Because like when Warren notices that Mannix doesn't like Domergue or another character because his daddy was like actually a respectful general who does stuff like he like it really like opened up like he's not just like this racist fuck, he's like actually has values and stuff still, but he's just
Got a little bit of
Principles.
honor and
yeah
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
those
cool.
characters are great, and ending them at the movie is great, you know, in the way that they do.
Yeah. I mean, every character is so well fleshed out, I think. I mean, and that's what makes
Yeah.
it even more engaging. And on top of that, it's great dialogue writing. So it's so good. And every time I watch it, I just think it gets better and better.
I just don't think the structure really allows for the most compelling movie. Like revealing
No?
basically Warren halfway through just calls out exactly what's going on. He's like, "You're all in on it," you know, and like, and from then on, there's no more discoveries. But then they flash back to show you how they got there, but we don't need to know or care. Like, it just doesn't matter, in my opinion. And on coupled with the fact that you introduced Channing Tatum that we had no idea about, you know, and it's just like,
That was, I did get a little thrown. I don't know. Maybe I just don't expect or want to see Channing Tatum in a Tarantino movie, but I was just like, this feels
a little
weird.
I
weird.
did.
Like,
Yeah, I thought it was fucking weird too. Yeah.
He played it to the best of his ability, I'd say.
Yeah, he was
But
fine. He was
I
fine.
think so too.
yeah.
I'm
You know,
pro
I was
Channing
gonna
Tatum.
say I wrote down.
Magic Mike.
I felt like Tim
Yeah.
Roth was like trying to be Christoph Waltz in
That's
this.
exactly how I felt. I was like, did he was he just like
And
tied up?
then I thought about
Like-
it, and I'm like, should have Christoph Waltz like been this part? And then I'm like,
I think it may
I
have
mean,
been
I guess
written
like
for him.
probably not, because like I feel like Tim Roth, like I don't know, he's like a little bit slimier than Christoph Waltz. Like if he's in a gang, I couldn't see Christoph Waltz being in a gang. I don't know.
For sure.
I mean, I guess
Yeah.
I could see him as a Nazi, but not in a gang. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. Big difference.
I get what you
No,
mean.
So
I
I
flip
don't
flop
know.
on
I feel
that.
like
Yeah.
it does kind of fit better, I guess, in a way, but
Mm.
it just felt kind of weird sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, I feel that. I had the same thought. And then by the end of it, I was like, yeah, you know what? He did kind of play up this sort of like anxious British guy who's like trying to pass as this guy, you know, it makes him
Mhm.
like suspicious enough. So I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, all right.
He's
ended
like
up
the
being okay
smartest
with it.
guy in the room, I'd say, or maybe not the smartest
Yeah.
overall, but like he's clearly like the most like educated and like able to manage this. He's trying to manage the situation through his
Yeah,
like class or whatever, you know. But
As
then you
opposed
got
to
Michael
Bob and
Madsen
Paige.
sitting over the corner just being gruff, fucking doing nothing the whole
Yeah.
movie. Like,
Dude, like that Christmas story, like that is the biggest crock of bullshit like I've ever heard.
yeah,
Visited my
Yeah,
mother.
but the cows or whatever. Yeah, he's like
yeah.
a rancher or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
it's
just
like,
coming
"Alright,
back
bro."
after a long drive.
It's like bullshit. Like you couldn't come
Yeah.
up with anything better. Like
yeah.
The one guy Tim Roth had fucking business cards.
yeah, right? Like that's if you're looking to be legit, like or
I
seem
guess.
legit.
Man, I will say, there's like peppermint sticks. Kind of made me want some peppermint sticks.
Oh, yeah,
I
they
feel
did look
that.
good.
Maybe it's just the season. Tis the
Yeah,
season.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's getting colder. Yeah, about to bundle up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Kind of good.
yeah, I guess like to me, the dialogue is very good. It's very fucking good. It's a little bit like rambling and repetitive in my opinion, though. Especially like the first 30 minutes, it's a very well like composed intro, and it gets you very fast into the characters when the stagecoach shows up. And then it adds like 3 more characters along the way, and it just takes too much exposition, in my opinion, in the stagecoaches, where they're literally just talking about their past. They're talking about everything. They're,
Yeah.
Sets the tone and kind of gives you like an idea of what each character and how they stand. Like we said with
Mhm.
Maddox's character, you saw his principles right off the gate when he said to put the cuffs on, and he said, "Nope."
Nope.
And so
Yeah,
like that's where he
it's
stands right off the bat.
yeah. I mean, it really
Yeah.
fleshes out those
And
characters in a great way. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like
Yeah.
when Jason Lee like licks her blood and looks out the window, it's one of the best moments in the movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah, she kills it too.
yeah, she's great in the movie.
Yeah, really good.
It's
But
just like
I think that's why I like the structure so much, is because it's like by the second act it's like fully set up for this murder mystery, and then like it kind of devolves in the third, and then if to me by the fourth episode it's like it feels straight up like the Tarantino ultimatum shootout type shit that I'm like there for. So
Yeah.
I don't know,
I also,
it flowed well for me.
I also kind of picked up at the end, basically at the point where Channing Tatum does show up and he like tosses his guns out of the basement and he like pops up and they shoot him. If Sam Jackson is like just willing to shoot anybody at that point in the movie, I guess he does run out of bullets, but it's just like they should have just killed all of them because they what's up?
No, yeah,
Because
it's
they
like-
knew all of them were fucking in the gang.
Right.
Like they knew they were all connected at that point, but then they still just like leave like them alive essentially until like
the
know,
dialogue
Well,
them
I
to
mean,
death
Sam-
until it's time. Like, yeah, I get
I
you.
mean,
What's
Sam
that?
Jackson doesn't kill the people until like they make a move on him, right? So I mean,
Yeah, but I guess like
Smitty,
I'm just saying
Channing
like
Tatum shot him in the
if he
balls.
just
So
shot I
Yeah.
guess that's a good point, but it's
They're
like
all wounded.
if he's willing to take them out and he knows like they're all connected, why wouldn't you just take them all out?
He
like,
shot Bob out of
when you
nowhere.
can. Yeah, exactly.
it-
That's like Bob. No, I'm thinking of Joe Gage. But yeah, exactly. So like
He knows
I don't
when to
know.
take out somebody when he's like written them off, basically.
I guess it's just like at a certain point, you know, all of them
Yeah.
are bad and know each other. So like,
Right. Like Daisy should have been
I don't know.
killed.
There's no
30
when you're
minutes
shot at
before
that
the movie
point.
ended,
There's
but-
no way you're gonna make this out unless you kill them. Like they're just gonna try to save themselves at that point. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just
I get you.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
and another
I
I
highlight.
guess maybe that's just
speaking
like
of-
too heartless. I don't know. Maybe like that's
No,
not
no.
how characters would act. But I feel
It
like
just
Sam Jackson
draws out the
showed that he's
end.
willing to kill them. You know, like
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah,
Sam
once
Jackson
Channing
was.
is gone, you would think it'd just be like, all right, like there's no reason to, yeah.
They have to like get sadistically to a point of like almost torture, and without killing them. So it's just like, yeah, it's like Tarantino had to keep them alive to the end somehow, like without just, which is what probably would happen. So like,
Yeah, I guess they were like kind of spinning bullshit too, like with the 15 men in Red Rock
Yeah.
and shit. And it's like, I mean, after when Manus kind of calls the letter out, and you kind of realize he can see through like bullshit pretty well.
mhm.
you
It's
have a
like-
letter from Abraham Lincoln. Yes.
The president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Yeah. So I get like why they held on, but I also kind of agree that at that point it should have just been like fucking end them. There's no point. Yeah.
It's like this one, out of most Tarantino movies, I feel its length. It doesn't really breeze as
Oh, yeah.
much as the other ones for me, in my opinion. Like, it's just
Oh,
like
I'm surprised it hasn't even came up yet. But like, where we got to talk about the fucking differences between this and Reservoir Dogs.
yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wrote
We've
it-
been waiting for
Yeah,
this.
I stand by your statement.
In ways, I'll stand. I think it's obviously more nuanced than just saying it's a copy of Reservoir Dogs again.
Yeah.
To me, it's like a mix up of Django, Reservoir Dogs. It's like he's playing all the same notes he's done before. This movie doesn't, like, to me, it's not a 4-star movie, because like a 4-star movie is like a necessary movie, and this one just does not feel necessary in Tarantino's filmography, in my opinion. Like, it just doesn't feel like I'm getting anything fresh or new out of this one. I'm just having more fun, with things that he's already done and said. Like, and then where I can find the similarities here, I mean, he's literally repeating lines in this movie that he's done in the past. Say adios to
He does that in
your
a lot of his
huevos.
movies.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
He does that in a lot of his movies, though.
I mean, not like one for ones though, in my opinion. Like maybe
I'm
he does, and I
sure.
just didn't
I
notice.
don't know. I don't know. I caught
Yeah,
that one. Samuel.
I'm sure. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
his like feature Channing Tatum moment is "Say adios to your huevos," and it's like literally like he's like, everyone loved my Inglorious Bastards line where I said "Say avitas into your Nazi balls." Like it's like, dude, like you're literally just saying literally the same line, like in a different language. Like I don't know. And then Tim Roth's screeching being shot in the stomach is literally like a 1-for-1 reference to Reservoir Dogs, and that character like he's a different character, but like to draw these links to like homage your own story in these ways, like it's like you're not
Fun, though,
saying so.
right?
It's fun, but
Tarantino verse, right?
it's like a fan fiction of what Tarantino person would do. It's like, oh, that guy's in Tim Roth, and he's gonna get shot in the stomach, and then he's gonna keel over and scream because that's what he
It's
does in Reservoir
Tarantino
Dogs.
doing fan fiction on Tarantino.
Dude, because honestly, like even the Michael Madsen walk out of the cabin, it's like the only time you leave the cabin almost, and it's like we know Michael Madsen's playing this character, and he did that in Reservoir Dogs, and he walked out and then killed somebody, and like did it in this sadistically slow way with music playing, and it's just like I'm like, I mean, I'm bitching at Scorsese for saying the same thing every movie. I got to give Tarantino the same kind of like, eyes to be like, you're doing everything you just did. Like, so it's not just like the structure of it is different than Reservoir Dogs, even though there's a mystery with characters that you don't know. That's still kind of the setup of it all. But to me, it's like he was like shaking off Django Unchained when he wrote the intro. And he was like, oh, fuck, what is this? Let's get him into a cabin, into a room. They don't know.
Let's go back to something I know.
That's what it feels like to me. Like it's a super entertaining movie, super great the movie. It's awesome to watch. It just doesn't feel like necessary. And to be quite honest,
I guess
like,
I kind of see that.
what's that? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you got any counters for that before I move on? But
no, I just think I kind of see that in the lineup. I don't know. You're. I just had such a good time with this. Like I see where you're coming from, but
yeah,
I'm just thinking of like mystery thrillers, and it's like in comparison. I guess I'm not comparing this more so to like his stuff, but maybe I should be.
whodunits.
Yeah.
I think he's just like a naturally compelling writer, which makes this movie watchable. Like I wrote down like a highlight of Tarantino's work is that he can be so like slow and calculated. Like in the intro when it's like DB's like, well, this guy paid a pretty penny for privacy and you're gonna have to talk to him. And then Samuel L. Jackson's like, well, that's what I'll do. Like he's taking time to like let you like, get really in there to these characters into the story, but I don't know, it just doesn't like add up to like it doesn't add up to something new. It just adds up to something enjoyable, so. Which is not bad. I mean, not everybody's making new movies.
I guess I don't understand. I mean, what do you mean it doesn't feel necessary?
I guess like
I mean, at some
when you
point,
look at
if we're watching like Kubrick movies, all his movies, there would always be something where it was like, oh, this is what he's done, and he's done it over and over again for all his movies, right? I mean, maybe
no,
not down to the dialogue, but he's going off different source material, not his own material.
really the only
like-
movies that I thought Kubrick was like repeating something was Passive Glory and Full Metal Jacket. To me, every movie in Kubrick's filmography felt very different and very like a different attempt and a different style and I mean similar styles, but like he's trying something new and different structures. Like 2001, the structure is like barely a fucking structure. Like, it's just like he's doing different stuff. I guess with Tarantino, his movies feel like more of one voice in his catalog, but like when I look at all of his movies individually, I see like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie, all these movies are like, oh my fucking God. And then it's like Hateful Eight. And it's like, I don't know. You just did coming off of Django, I think doesn't help when you like are basically the same time, basically the same. And I don't know. I made a note that I was like, I might like this movie more if it straight up was a sequel to Django, which it kind of started as. And like the Marcus Warren character clearly is like
Feels like
Django
an
at the start of
older
this.
version of Django.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like a past with him being chased because he's a bounty hunter and he did something crazy in the past.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe I'm too drawn into that idea where it's like Django and White Hell as like a sequel to this, which feels like a more true like Tarantino story where it's like this mishmash of like I said, like Django, and then he's like, oh fuck, it's not Django. What is it? Oh, it's Hateful Eight. Okay, hook. You know, like so within the realm like of his movies, this one is the one I would flick out, maybe even over Death Proof, just because like Death Proof is so different and he's trying something different. Even though I think this movie's better than Death Proof still. So does that? I don't know. I mean, it's a yeah.
No. I mean, you're supporting yourself with what you're saying, so I can't say you're wrong. But yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't find it unnecessary. I think what makes this movie special from like all Tarantino movies are special in their own ways because every character that he writes, it feels like it's intentional when he's writing these characters, and they feel special in their own way.
Yeah.
And there's like they may have the same dialogue, but not even all the time. But like they may say the same thing that he's written for another character, but it's just intentional for that specific character. If this is making sense, like each character feels like it's crafted differently
I
and
get
with
you,
so
yeah.
much attention to detail of what they say and how they say it and what they mean by it and how it adds to their character. So
I guess the adios huevos line, like to me, that's just Tarantino like being like, play the greatest hit, you know, like
sure, yeah.
I don't know. That one doesn't feel like a character as more as like I wanted to put a guy in the bottom of the basement, shoot balls again, and then like create a character after that. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know, but I get what you mean. Like all of his characters are so defined almost instantly. It's like in a couple lines you like know who they are, and you're like
Exactly.
you're very engaged with them. So he's just a good writer. So you got to give it to him at a certain point. It's just I know how much he is like on his own ego, so I have to like just knock a peg down when like a movie like this comes where it's like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking shit, but I feel like
Aiden motherfucker. No,
yeah,
I mean, if it's your opinion, it's a valid opinion. I mean, for me, I don't know. I feel like every one of these movies has their place in his catalog and his development as a writer director. So, and I would say even this one didn't feel like Tarantino's ego, opposed to like say like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is a fantastic movie, but you can tell that's Tarantino being like, I am the greatest. Let's do this. So
yeah,
well, maybe
I respect
maybe
that
he
movie
was
a lot
just
more.
having fun with it. I mean,
I
he
do
clearly
too.
likes westerns, you know. I mean,
Exactly.
maybe he
But
just
he already-
wanted to make a western thing again.
made
I don't know.
Western.
He just like didn't get enough. I don't know.
And it's made like a stage play, so it's like I don't know.
It is. I
It's
mean,
just a different style for him too. So
yeah, like that's where the playfulness I think comes in. I mean, playful, obviously, but like,
yeah,
he's like almost like playing it to like he's talking to you straight up as an audience member, like through the voiceover. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's very contained, but like maybe I just want to see more areas. Like the story literally doesn't go anywhere either, so it's just like hard to feel the scope of a movie like this, where it just is so small, intentionally so. But
okay. I was really hoping that you would change your mind and like this a little bit better on this watch through. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it's fun. Like I said, like it's engaging. It just doesn't like.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to keep shitting on it, but like, it's just...
no. I mean, it's your opinion, man.
Yeah,
you're entitled to it,
and
that's just like.
You got more? Like, can you keep shitting on it?
I mean, I could keep going if you guys want. I don't know. I think like also my tones don't like translate very well because like this is a great movie, but I have to talk about it negatively because it's not Tarantino's like best movie. So it like
you're just critiquing.
I mean,
it's just critique.
I could agree that it's not his best movie for sure, but even his worst movies are just so good that it's just hard to say it's a bad movie, but yeah, no, I get that.
It's
No,
not a
yeah,
bad
it's
movie.
easy. It's easy
No,
for
it's
the
not.
internet.
Honestly, this is like the best of the three movies we've talked about today. Like,
Yeah, hands
at
down.
least for
100%.
me.
For
I mean,
sure.
I assumed for everybody else. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'll rewatch like The Killer multiple times, I'm sure, but like Tarantino with without hesitation every year I watch his catalog at least 2 times, maybe 3 times. I mean, I always go back to his movies and rewatch them just because they're infinitely entertaining no matter what. Even his worst movies are just infinitely entertaining.
Yeah, nothing
So,
really scratching an itch quite like his.
Mhm.
yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. I would also like to highlight too that the Ennio Morricone score in this, it's like his first time doing like original music, and I want to say like 30
It was
something
good.
years or some shit, but like really good. I mean, it adds like this dreary, dreadful tone. And when the slow intro with like Jesus on the cross or whatever, which I guess like visually bookending it, they're like hanging her at the end, even though I don't really get the message fully of like the path there, but
Yeah.
um when it is like pulling slowly to reveal the carriage coming in, and then like it says original score by Ennio Morricone, the like it just like accentuate like that just like hits at that moment the score, and it's just like a perfect stinger for like the intro. It's like and it's just like I don't know, it's good editing, but also just like Tarantino like giving it to the composer too in that moment, I'd say. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, props.
yeah, for sure. I mean, shit, man. We only got one more week to Tarantino it up.
One more
Yeah.
highlight I'd like to talk about is just Kurt Russell, and that dude has the best head of hair, and
Luscious.
any facial
The
hair that
mutton
man
chops.
does, I
Yeah.
fucking
It's true.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah, it's a manly
So,
man. Yeah.
it
Envious.
is.
Straight up envious. Yeah.
When he goes and makes me want to horse laugh and flicks his mustache every time, I'm like, you earned that, buddy.
Nice.
You earned that. So
Dude,
That's
Good
fair.
honestly,
on you.
like, I couldn't. Okay, so like watching through this, I couldn't remember if OB was actually like part of the gang or if he was just totally unrelated. And like thinking about it now, like why wouldn't you just make Channing Tatum or like the final member of the gang just OB and just have it like play out like that,
Like
where
he
like
drove him
I don't
there.
know,
He was
you're
hired to drive
introduced
him there.
to this character, yeah, but you don't know like their backstory, and maybe he like had seen the sister and they like knew each other from before you even knew that they met each other, you know?
I guess they probably would have just like killed Kurt Russell like immediately when they left the carriage or whatever. But
That is a very good point.
you could start the story earlier and have Marcus Warren join immediately to stop that from happening. You know, no. You could make it work if you wanted to, for sure. It's like
I
he
guess he
almost didn't
kinda-
want a reveal at the end of this, or in the middle of this movie. It's almost just like he was like, "Yeah, that's been everybody, and now it's just gonna be like the shootout."
right.
I don't know. It's like an anti-reveal with the person you never saw, never knew about, and
I mean,
everyone
and
else is involved.
ultimately, like you said earlier, I mean, ultimately, I would say the message, if there is a message, is them coming together at the end and settling their differences and just
Yeah. Right.
agreeing that, so
Yeah, I
you could look at
mean,
it that way.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. I mean,
Feels fulfilling.
the discussion about like civilized justice versus frontier justice, I think that was like the main theme of the movie, or like what Tarantino was like getting at, I guess. I just don't feel like it was like explored in a way that like, I don't know. I guess like it's just such a simple one, like he just sets it up and then they like have frontier justice at the end cathartically through their own experiences. But just I don't know. It's there. It's just like I said, and I'll see my previous comments before about why it's not the best. But
That's fair.
They were both
That's
gonna
fair.
die there too.
yeah, I mean, I think they
They're
died at the end,
dead.
right? Like it's
They're all dead.
Yeah.
Hateful Eight, all dead. Yeah, but shit. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, close it out.
That's it.
Wrapping it up.
Yeah.